You're already doing it wrong. Every midnight text you think is pulling him closer is actually pushing him further away. And the worst part? It feels like the right thing to do. You're lying there in the dark thinking about him, and it feels natural to reach out. It feels like connection. It feels like you're keeping something alive. But what's actually happening on his end is he reads it, maybe sends something back, and then he's asleep. Just like that. You're gone from his mind like you were never even there. And meanwhile, there's a woman out there who sends one text at midnight and he cannot turn his brain off after that. He's reading it again. He's staring at the ceiling. He's lying there thinking about her when he should be sleeping. And the gap between her and the woman he forgets in 5 minutes has nothing to do with looks. Nothing to do with how much she texts him. Nothing to do with how available she is. It comes down to one thing. She knows exactly what to say and when to say it. She understands something most women never figure out. And today, so will you. Here's the thing most women don't know. Men's brains at night work completely differently than during the day. During the day, he's busy. He's got work, his phone, his friends, his own noise going on. Even if he really likes you, you're competing with everything else pulling at his attention. You could say something genuinely interesting and it barely lands because he's only half there. But at night, all of that stops. It gets quiet. The day is finally over. And in that quiet, whatever lands in his head right before he falls asleep is what stays there. That's what he thinks about. That's what he wakes up still thinking about. So if you send something forgettable, you become forgettable. But if you send something that makes him actually feel something, you become the thing he can't shake. It really is that simple. Most women just never figure this out. They keep sending the same sweet, safe stuff every single night and then wondering why nothing is changing, why he's not more into it, why he's not thinking about them the way they're thinking about him. So here's what we're going through today. 6 specific midnight texts that actually work with the way his brain operates at night. Not lines you just copy and paste without thinking, real tools. And once you understand why each one works, you stop guessing. You stop sending stuff and crossing your fingers hoping for the best. You start moving with real confidence. You start doing things on purpose instead of just reacting to how you feel. But before we get into any of them, there are rules. Because sending the wrong message in the wrong moment doesn't just fall flat. It actually does real damage. It moves you backwards, and nobody wants that. Never send these when you're feeling needy. Never send them because he's gone quiet and you're trying to pull him back. Never send them every single night because the moment it becomes a routine, it loses all its power. And never send them sitting there waiting for a reply that's going to make you feel better about where things stand between you two. A woman who gets real results with these sends the message and goes to sleep. She doesn't sit there refreshing her phone. She doesn't check every 2 minutes wondering why he hasn't replied yet. She sent it because she wanted to, not because she needed something back from him. Once you actually live from that place, everything changes. These messages become 10 times more powerful because they're coming from the right energy. And that energy, he feels it, even through a screen. Now, before we get into the texts themselves, you need to really understand why midnight is different from any other time of day. Because this is the part that makes everything click into place. During the day, a man moves fast. He processes things and keeps going. Feelings he hasn't fully sat with just get pushed to the side because there's always something else coming at him. He's on to the next thing before the last one even settled. But at night, all of that changes completely. The day is over, the noise is gone, and everything he was moving too fast to feel during the day starts coming up. Thoughts he skipped past, moments he didn't fully sit with. His guard is lower than it's ever going to be. He's more open than he'll ever actually say out loud. And if your message lands in that window, it doesn't have to compete with anything. It just sits there in the quiet, getting louder, growing. That's the moment you're working with. And these 6 texts are built exactly for it.
All right, let's get into the first one. Number 1,
can't sleep. Keep thinking about that thing you said. That's the whole message. Short, specific. And it works because of what it doesn't say just as much as what it does say. You're not telling him you're thinking about him. You're telling him something he said is still sitting with you hours later. And that is a completely different thing. That hits in a completely different place. Every girl texts him, been thinking about you. That's sweet, but it's also something he's heard before. It blends in. This doesn't blend in. This makes him feel like his words actually meant something, like they landed somewhere real and stayed there long after the conversation ended. Men want that more than most women realize. They want to feel like the things they say actually matter to the person they care about. And when you give him that feeling, something shifts in him. He leans in. He pays more attention. He starts to feel like you're someone who actually gets him. And then the curiosity kicks in immediately. What thing? What did he say that's keeping you up right now at midnight? Even if he has a guess, he wants to hear it from you directly. And that wanting is what keeps him awake. He's not going to read that and just roll over and fall asleep. He's going to think about it. He's going to reply. He's going to go back through your conversations in his head, trying to figure out what he said that stuck with you like that. And you've created all of that without being desperate, without chasing, without giving everything away at once. You just dropped one small, real thing and let his brain do the rest of the work for you. When he replies, don't write a paragraph back. Pick something real, something he actually said that you genuinely liked or that genuinely surprised you, and say it simply. Then stop. Don't keep going. Don't explain why it stuck with you for 3 sentences. The mistake most women make here is they get excited he replied, and suddenly they're saying too much and the whole thing loses its pull. The power is in staying light, staying a little out of reach even when you want to say more. You gave him just enough to work with. Now let it breathe and see what he does with it. Number 2, just saw something that reminded me of you. It wouldn't even make sense to explain. This one is sneaky in the best way, because you're telling him he crossed your mind, but you're not giving him the full picture. You're hinting at something and then pulling back. And that gap between what you said and what you're not saying is where all the power in this message lives. This works best once you're past the very beginning stages, when there's already some real history between you, some shared moments, inside jokes, things that belong to just you two that nobody else would understand. That's when this message hits exactly right. That's when it lands the way it's supposed to. Here's what happens when he reads it. He immediately wants to know what it was. He goes through everything in his head trying to figure it out. Was it something funny that reminded you of him? Was it something from a time you were together? Was it something that made you think of a moment you two shared? He doesn't know. And not knowing is going to sit with him in a way that a straightforward message never could. You've created something he can't fully figure out unless he comes to you and asks. And that is exactly what you want. Him coming to you, reaching out, trying to get closer, not the other way around. The part of this message that does the most work is it wouldn't even make sense to explain. That line sounds casual when you read it, but what it's actually doing is really specific. It's telling him this isn't something surface level or random. It's personal. It's something that connects back to whatever you two have together. And that makes him feel like there are still parts of you he hasn't figured out yet. Like there's more to discover. And men chase what they haven't fully figured out. That's just how they're wired. The moment he feels like he already knows everything about you, the curiosity starts dying. But when you show him there are layers he hasn't reached yet, he keeps going. He keeps wanting to get closer every single time. If he asks what it was, you have two good options. Either tell him something real and keep it short and simple, or just say, maybe I'll tell you sometime, and leave it there. Both work, because either way, you're comfortable not handing him everything at once. And that comfort in yourself, that ability to hold something back without making it weird or cold, is something he's going to notice. And it's genuinely attractive to watch. Number 3, good night. You almost made it a whole day without messing up my focus. Now we're in completely different territory. This one has a little bite to it. It's playful, it's confident, and it tells him he's been on your mind all day. But it does it in a way that sounds almost like a complaint. Like him being in your head is slightly inconvenient for you. And that framing alone makes this message completely unlike anything else he gets from anyone. This works when the flirting is already real between you two. When you've both dropped the pretending to be casual about it act. When the energy is fun and a little charged and you both know it. That's when this message fits perfectly. Because what you're really saying underneath all of it is that he got to you. He's been on your mind. But instead of being soft and sweet about it, you're teasing him about it. You're giving him a hard time about something that's actually a compliment. And that is so much more interesting and attractive than I was thinking about you all day. Every woman says that. Nobody says this. This makes him smile in a way that a careful, sweet, safe text never could, because he knows exactly what you mean. He can read between the lines, and the fact that you're calling him out on it in a playful way instead of just telling him directly makes you stand out immediately from everyone else texting him tonight. There's also something hidden inside this message that most people miss. You said he almost messed up your focus. Almost. Which means tomorrow, he's going to want to actually do it. That's just how men think. Give them a playful target without even meaning to, and something in them goes for it. He's going to be more present tomorrow, more attentive, more deliberate about getting your attention. Not because you asked him to be, just because you made it feel like something worth going for. That's the kind of pull that doesn't feel like pressure on him. It just feels like a fun challenge. And he's going to show up differently tomorrow because of one message you sent tonight. Keep the reply short if he responds with something. Don't get too proud of yourself. Or just laugh and say goodnight again. Don't explain the joke after. Don't soften it because you got nervous about how it landed. You said what you said, now you're going to sleep. The confidence is in not adding anything extra to it, letting it be exactly what it is. Number 4, still awake? Never mind, go back to sleep. This one looks simple on the surface, but what it's doing underneath is genuinely clever. You're reaching out and pulling back in the exact same message. You start the reach and then you take it back. And that push and pull is one of the most powerful dynamics you can create in any conversation. This works best when you're in that solid middle stage with him. Things are going well between you. You're comfortable with each other, but you're still in that exciting phase where every text still feels like something, where there's still that little flutter when his name comes up on your screen. That's exactly when this lands. Here's what goes through his head when he reads it. He sees still awake, and he's already reaching to reply. And then he reads the second part. And now he absolutely cannot just leave it alone because you just told him not to bother. And nobody can leave that alone when they actually want to talk to the person reaching out. Even if he was half asleep already, he's wide awake now. He wants to know what you were going to say. He wants to know why you started the message and then pulled back like it was nothing. That curiosity hits immediately and it hits hard. And you created all of it in 9 words. And here's the other thing this message does quietly in the background. It makes you look completely unbothered. Like you had a thought, considered reaching out, and then decided it was honestly fine either way. You don't need the conversation. You were just checking for a second, and then you let it go. Most women, once they decide to send a message, they commit to it fully. They send it, and then they wait. They need the reply. They need to know he saw it. But you reached out on your own terms and pulled back on your own terms in the same breath. That's rare. That's the kind of casual, easy confidence that's really hard to ignore no matter who you are. When he replies, just tell him something small and real. Keep it easy and light. The goal was never a big, deep conversation out of this. The goal was simply to get into his head right before he falls asleep, to be the last thing on his mind before everything goes dark. And you just did exactly that with 9 words. Number 5. Honestly, you should come with a warning label. Bold, playful, a little bit dangerous. And it works best when things between you are already clearly good. When the chemistry between you two is obvious and neither of you is pretending otherwise anymore. When you know he's into you and he knows you're into him and it's just sitting there between you both. That's when this message fits. Not before you're there. Not when you're still in the careful early stages of figuring things out. When it's already obvious and real, this is the message that takes everything up a level. Here's what you're doing with this one. You're giving him a compliment that doesn't feel like a compliment at all. You're not telling him he's great or amazing or that you really like him. You're telling him he has some kind of effect on you that's almost a problem for you. Like he's too much in the best possible way. And that framing is so different from what he normally gets that it stops him mid-scroll. He reads it and his first thought is, what does she mean exactly? And then it hits him. And he smiles because he knows exactly what you mean. He's gotten under your skin a little bit. And instead of being soft and sweet and careful about telling him that, you're giving him a hard time about it. That's what makes it land so hard. Men love knowing they have a real effect on someone they genuinely like. Not because they're arrogant about it, but because it means something real is actually happening between you two. It's not in their head. It's not one-sided. And when you deliver that truth with a little bit of attitude instead of pure sweetness, it feels more honest, more real. It doesn't feel like you're saying it to be nice or to make him feel good about himself. It feels like you genuinely can't help it and you're slightly calling him out on it. And that kind of honest, playful energy hits harder than any carefully worded compliment ever could. If he comes back cocky about it, you don't flinch at all. Don't flatter yourself. Or just simply, I said what I said, good night. Short, calm, completely unbothered. You dropped something real, you owned it without being soft or apologetic about it, and now you're done for the night. That version of you is the one he's going to be lying there thinking about long after he puts his phone down. Number 6. Hey, hope you're okay. No reason, just thought about you. This is the one that goes the deepest out of everything on this list, and it is completely different from every other message here. There's no game in this one, no tease, no clever pull, no hidden strategy, just something completely and honestly real. And that's exactly what makes it the most powerful one here when it's used at the right time. This one is only for when there's already real trust built between you. When you've moved past the fun, exciting beginning stage and into something that actually means something to both of you. When he's shown you that he values you and you've shown him the same in return. When it feels solid. That's when this message hits in a way that nothing else on this list can touch. What you're doing here is showing up for him with absolutely nothing attached to it. No agenda behind it. No quietly hoping he says exactly the right thing back so you can finally feel better about where things stand. You just thought about him tonight, and you wanted him to know that someone out there was thinking about him. That's genuinely all it is. And that kind of thing, that simple, quiet warmth with nothing expected in return, stays with a person in a way that clever texts simply never do. He reads it and something in him settles. Something gets quiet in a good way. He feels seen. Not because you said something impressive or interesting or perfectly worded, because you said something true. And true always lands deeper than clever. Most women either go too heavy and flood a man with emotion before he's ready for it, or they keep everything light and breezy all the time because they're scared of being too much. This message does neither of those things. It's warm without being heavy. It's caring without being needy. It's the kind of thing you say to someone who genuinely matters to you, not because you want something back from them tonight, but simply because they matter. And men can feel the difference between those two things every single time without fail. If he replies, just keep it easy and warm. Good. Just had a feeling. Sleep well. That's really all you need to say. No big conversation after it, no turning it into a deep emotional moment, just a small, solid, genuine thing. And over time, it's those small things that build something real between two people, something sturdy, something that no amount of clever or perfectly timed texting ever could build on its own. So now you've seen all 6, and the one thing every single one of them shares is this: none of them come from fear. None of them are desperate. None of them are waiting anxiously for something back to feel okay. Every single one comes from a woman who already knows what she brings, who doesn't need a reply at midnight to feel good about herself or about where things are going. And honestly, that's the real thing you're walking away with today. Not just 6 texts, but a completely different way of showing up. Because the woman he cannot stop thinking about at midnight isn't the one texting the most. She isn't the one trying the hardest. She's the one who makes him feel something real and then gives him the space to sit with it. She says what she says, she puts her phone down, and he's the one left awake thinking about her. You used to be the woman sending forgettable texts into the dark and hoping something would stick. Not anymore. Now you're the woman who knows exactly what she's doing, who understands that the right words at the right moment are worth more than 100 safe ones. And that changes everything. Not just at midnight, all the time. In every conversation, in every moment where you choose to reach out or pull back. You're operating from a completely different place now. Pick one of these tonight. Just one. See how it feels to send something from that place of calm confidence instead of crossing your fingers. And then come back and tell me in the comments which one you tried or which one surprised you the most. Drop a like if this gave you something real today. Share it with a friend who needs to stop sending texts she regrets at 1 a.m. And subscribe, because there is so much more where this came from, and you really don't want to miss it.